as a duvet.
What?
It's a fucking super single bed.
Really?
Yeah, it's because
No.
the house is so lovely.
Are you trying to not get laid while you're at the essay? Like, what's the...
That's the plan.
I have a reason now. I'm like, you know what? I'm not getting laid, guys. I don't know.
I have
My
a
bed's
single
not big
bed.
enough.
Damn it.
Shit. If only I had a
Every
big-
time I meet a girl, she also had a single bed.
Yeah, we recorded that as well.
Alright, sweet.
Awesome. So we'll finish one glass. What we do is that's what we do.
One glass? No, I don't. I think
No, just a couple of sips.
Couple of
kind of
sips.
sips. Aryan, slow down.
We just do some shots and
finish the whole
then
bottle
we
and
say
then
the first thing that comes to mind.
I actually have some like Polish liquor if you want.
Hey guys, you all brought up a very sensitive topic about my love life, right? So I had to. I need some alcohol too.
We'll find you someone.
I'm sorry, Aryan. I'm sure there'll be some groupie of
Well,
this
she said we'll
podcast.
find you someone, and you said, "I'm sorry, Aryan, we won't." Is that what you were going to do?
No, I said I'm sorry we upset you with our comments about your love life. But, this podcast is going to be so massive. You're going to have loads of groupies.
Yeah.
So...
Groupies, yeah, with this podcast.
They're just gonna throw themselves at you. You're not gonna know.
After this podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. That's why I started the podcast.
plan.
That's why I started. You think
That's-
I want to know what Natasha does in her life?
You don't give a fuck.
I don't give a fuck
Let's
about
get laid.
You want to show he's good at...
Perfecto. 2 sips done. First question.
So we heard you like driving. And I'm gonna, posit a hypothetical, which is you've had a long day, but it's summer and the sun is setting pretty late, and you finally finished your work and you don't have any plans, and you just get in the car and you start driving. And where do you drive? And what's that journey going to be like for you?
Okay. So if it's summer, I usually work from Lebanon, so I'll definitely be back home. I live in I come from a village, so we live in the mountains, like 1,000 meters altitude. So I would 100% take the car and start driving down to the coast. And there's this little road that is different than the one I would used to take. So I would go more north of Lebanon, and then you go down the mountains, and it's like, I don't know, if you imagine just mountains and no limits, like it's just like a hill, so like there's nothing on your left, there's nothing on your right, and you're just literally driving on a road on top of a mountain, and you just see the sea at the bottom, and then so you can actually see the sunset at the same time. And then you get to the coast and you drive by the sea as well. So that's my favorite drive to do, that kind of like strip down to the coast, and then the coast is usually no traffic when you go up north, so it's also like a smooth ride. And then just like windows down, music, just driving. I love it.
That sounds amazing. What are you listening to?
Anything that comes out, but weirdly the song that pops in my head right now is a song called Paradis Bleu, and it's like let's say like techno, but I don't think it's I think it's house. I don't know what it is.
You
I'm
are
not very good
in
at
this beautiful journey overlooking the mountains. The sunset at the
Can I
back.
make you listen to
And then
it?
there's
I don't know.
I will remember, and there's
It's like
and there's techno.
I did this to my friends once. They were mad at me. Like we did a trip to like the Scottish Highlands, and we were like almost about to get there in this like beautiful landscape. And I was like, "Oh, can I put a song on?" And I put on like some like.
it's not. I know that. I
So
know
techno.
that.
It was you were giving such a beautiful description
It's
of
house. It's house.
everything,
it's house.
like-
I don't know the types of
like
music.
your.
Stop using shaming her, man.
No, but she said such a nice
It's-
landscape.
Okay,
of
so
it.
what would you listen to if
It's
you
like
went?
it's like a. I don't know how to explain it.
It's house, but
It's house, but it's a soft house, and you have like the very soft lyrics in French in the background, and it's just like. I don't know.
What is the song about? Like, what is he saying?
It's
he or
like,
she?
come, I'll take you to the blue paradise.
Oh.
That sounds appropriate for seeing the sunset over
And
the
it's
sea.
just very smooth, like na 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 na. na, na.
We'll add it in post.
Yeah,
we'll add some
please
music.
do.
We'll add some
Please, so
music because I
people
mean
know
I
that
have to
it's not-
cover her singing. And when she's doing that, I'll put the song in
Wow.
there.
Bold choice.
So people don't know why it's like,
Inviting
people
guests
don't
along and
like that.
insulting their singing.
I'm not insulting her. I'm saying it's the right moment to put it in.
Can I
And-
ask you back the question? Or
Yes. Yeah, of course, yeah.
Okay, then where would you guys go? What would you listen to?
Ooh, you want to take this one?
Oh, I was not prepared, but I'm preparing
Alright,
for
yeah,
my
no,
fit
I-
interview. Then
No,
This
I
is-
can go. I mean, I don't really drive, as in, like, I have a license, but I live in London, so I've never really had to drive in my daily life. But there is a certain romanticism to it, and I've done some road trips in the US, which were amazing with friends, and I was always the navigator. And also I liked having control of the music, which is why like the shotgun seat is so valuable. Like
The aux guy.
yeah, the aux guy. That's where it's at. I mean, nowadays it's more like the Bluetooth guy, but yeah.
Okay, fine. Bluetooth. You know, I'm using it as like so in a symbolic way, right? Not like
Gotta get with the times, man.
with the times. Fine. You're the
What would you
Bluetooth guy. Yeah, what would you put? Where are you driving, by the way? Scotland.
Well, that trip was to the Scottish Highlands. That was amazing.
Now, where would you go if you could just drive?
If I just drive anywhere, I don't know. The problem is like with London, like it takes you like an hour and a half just to get out of the city. So it's not if you're like want to drive to like de-stress and like
Yeah, no, you just dropped in a random part of this plan. Like,
okay.
like I mean, hers is so beautiful. You can't say London circles and stuff. So that, it's just like the contrast of the two landscapes.
There's this really good pub in Croydon. No, I guess. Well, let's go with Munich because that's somewhere I've spent a lot of time in. And Munich is very close to Bavarian Alps, so I think there's some really nice drives there. And also, wouldn't be personally beneficial to me because I think I would be too scared. But on the German highways, there's no speed limit.
The Autobahn?
On the Autobahn, you can
Nice.
go like 200, 300 if you want.
Kilometers?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
pretty
mean,
cool.
sometimes you like go and like you're doing like 200 kilometers and there's some car just whizzing past you. Yeah,
It's crazy.
it's a bit of a political issue because it's the only country in Europe that doesn't have a speed limit, and I think they're now, at least when the coalition government came to power, there was like a big discussion whether they should introduce it or not because obviously it's more dangerous, like more people die, but it's also like the Germans are so proud of their Autobahn that.
It's like a freedom of just
Yeah,
responsibility.
Yeah, exactly. It's like every person gets to make their own decisions.
So in this moment of freedom, what song are you listening to?
Probably some house.
What's with house
no,
and like
joking.
why?
I'm joking. Well, I mean, there is a great song called Autobahn by Kraftwerk, but it's just very monotonous and goes Autobahn.
No, yeah.
That does not sound very nice.
That-
Probably wouldn't put that on in that moment, but something like folky, maybe some Joni Mitchell or something, some Fleetwood Mac. I think like car rides, music with a lot of guitars is usually good. Like it kind of energizes you. Like even something dumb like an Alanis Morissette sounds better in the car than it does just walking around. So yeah, that's my non-answer. What about you?
Where would I drive? I haven't been to many nice places actually. In terms of like driving, I've driven in like Mumbai, which is like the shittiest place to drive in. Then I've driven between cities. Again, that's not a very pretty drive. But there is this coast in South India. I've been there, but I have not driven over there. But I would love to drive there because it's very similar to the place that you went to. So it's got mountains on one side and the coast on the other side.
Oh.
And it's this long stretch of just the beach and the coast on one side and mountains on the other side. And it's beautiful. I would love to drive there. That would be my place to drive. And the song I listen to would be Man in the Mirror. Michael
Man in
Jackson.
the Mirror. Ooh.
I love that song. That's like
Okay.
Cancelled.
cancelled. Why? No, I am refusing to accept those allegations which have been. No, this is not.
He was trying to make an argument in Amsterdam that Michael Jackson had a bigger musical impact than the Beatles, which is just so absurd that.
Oh no, not. Yes.
No, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're the
I
guest.
was gonna say that he might be right depending on the generations.
Yes. See.
Because
Yeah.
I listened to the Beatles a lot, but growing up, as like as a teenager even less, it was Michael Jackson, especially when he passed away. Like I remember exactly where I was. I remember
Same.
the tabloids in London. I remember everything about that day that Michael Jackson died. So like I think he might be right depending on
The generation. Thank you. See.
Could invite some better guests to this.
I would leave, but this is my house.
Imagine him asking you, leave, get out of here.
Leave my podcast.
Let's move on to the second and sort of main section of our podcast, which is to our listeners, to our long time fans that have put like hours and hours into this endeavor. We just asked the guests to basically talk about something that's close to their heart, whether it's professional or romantic or personal. So I think in your case, I mean, I don't want to steal your thunder, but you're going to be talking about sort of your personal connection with Lebanese culture and what it means to you to be from Lebanon, being Arab, right?
Yeah, mostly about identity. I think that's something that a lot of people, well, I struggled with, and I know a lot of people that come from one country but were raised and grew up all over the world kind of feel. And yeah, do you want me to just start?
No, so that's actually because for me personally, I find it I'm not able to relate with that, right? Because I grew up in India, and pretty much, I mean, I lived in Singapore for like 4 years, but culturally I've always been an Indian. I've never really had to live or adapt to a different culture. But you grew up in Lebanon, you're Lebanese.
So I was born in Lebanon. My parents are Lebanese, my whole family's Lebanese, like there's no doubt about that. And we left, I was 6 years old. We moved to London. We lived in London for 8 years. Then we moved to Dubai. I lived there for 4 years until my high school. So each one of my sisters, we did all our high school there, and then one by one we left. My parents are still there, so it's been like 15 years. But then I moved back to the UK for uni. Then after the UK, I moved between France, Canada, and then I moved back to Dubai, and then I moved back to London. So there was a lot of moving. And yeah, but like...
And you're just girls?
And we're just girls, we're 4.
4 sisters, wow.
Yeah, 4 sisters.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, 4 in 5 years, so we're super close in age. And yeah, they're my everything, but yeah. That's
Sweet.
another story.
And you said at least one of them is also in London, right?
So one is in London now. One is in Hull, in the north of the UK.
Wow, what's she doing in Hull?
She is a doctor for the NHS.
Okay.
So she didn't choose to live in Hull, but And then my older sister, she's in Mexico. So she did IESE as well, and she got a job in Mexico City.
So yeah, I mean, that then raises the question, right? Like, you haven't been in Lebanon for like the longest of time. You've never lived there.
No.
So, but culturally, you identify as like this cultural identity. What does it mean to you? Like, when you go around and you're in the UK and you meet people from the UK, do you feel like, oh, you're part of the UK gang? I mean, he's from the UK. Do you feel like no, not at all?
Not at all. So I've lived all my life outside of Lebanon, but every Christmas, every summer, every Easter growing up, we were in Lebanon. So we would fly back to Lebanon and, we would stay there. And summer would be 3 months in Lebanon. So I think at one point, especially when I lived in Dubai, I would say like maybe 4 to 5 months a year, I was in Lebanon. It would be split, but I would end up, being in Lebanon. I don't know. I think it's something like... So also growing up, you move a lot, so you get this kind of like knack of adapting to different environments and different people. You know how to talk to people, how to understand different cultures and so forth. But then whenever I would meet new people, the first thing I would say was like, oh, I'm Lebanese, and they were like, oh yeah, we believe you, you're Lebanese. But then I would go back to Lebanon, and then I would meet actual Lebanese. And then the first thing they would say is like, oh, you're not Lebanese. You're nothing but Lebanese. Like, oh, you're a Frenchie, or you're... My friends would always make fun of me that I'm a Frenchie because I went to a French school. So you had, like, growing up with my sisters, we always had this, like, kind of, like, disconnect of saying we are Lebanese, but when we're in Lebanon, we don't feel Lebanese. We don't kind of, like, fit in the mold of what a Lebanese means. And then the more you grow up, the more you mature, the more you kind of, like, self-reflect and everything. We also didn't have the language as a base because my parents concentrated on French and English. My dad traveled a lot, so my mom is like, raising 4 daughters and whatever language works, right? And so over the last years, we made it an actual effort within us to actually speak Arabic and learn Arabic and kind of like connect more to the language as well, because language is also part of your identity, right?
Yes.
And if you miss that, it's like you miss kind of like half of it, or even more than half of it. So it's more how I myself thought about it and how I want to associate. I don't know if it's also kind of, as humans you have to identify to a country, so maybe it's more of, I choose to, let's say, identify as Lebanese,
But did you pick Lebanese? I mean, or because I know some people, so like my sisters, my cousins who lived in the US, culturally, yes, they celebrate a lot of the Indian festivals, but they identify more as American and they feel more American. Did you? I don't know, how does it work? Like, is there like a choice of what you choose to be at that point, or like, I don't know.
I think it's not a choice to what you choose to be, but what you actually feel, and then you can kind of like. At the end of the day, and I think me being here in an MBA, where it's gonna sound stupid, but it's actually the first time I actually really feel like a minority, because we're usually everywhere. Like anywhere you go, you'll meet a Lebanese. Anywhere you'll go, people will know a Lebanese or will have heard of Lebanese or whatever. And here I met so many people who had told me that, whoa, you're the first Lebanese that I've ever met. We're 2 Lebanese in the year. I don't particularly see or mingle with any Lebanese, and even like the Arab community, we're like, I think, I don't know, maybe 15 in the 2 years, or maybe a bit more, I don't know. So you do feel, I don't know how to explain, especially with the situation now that you do feel like you're limited a bit in terms of who you are. And I felt like my kind of like patriotism or whatever identification I have to Lebanon kind of like intensified since I started the MBA, and I'm even more proud, and I even more want to talk about it, and I even more want to make it like evident that
that's you, that's
me, and people should know about one of the smallest, corrupted, horrible yet amazing country there is in the world. Because I don't know, it's like you're in class and they talk about all the big countries, even LATAM, which I love because I don't know much about LATAM, and then you just want to put a little piece of who you are in people's knowledge. Especially, I met like some of the smartest people I've ever met in my life, so they should know about
Lebanon and where you're from.
Well, at least Middle East. I don't know. That makes sense.
You're not helping allegations of being French by wearing a turtleneck, though, right?
I am not French.
So French is out.
I love the French. I speak French. Everything you want, but I am not French.
I can see a beret and baguette in the corner of the room. No, but I like how you to clarify that. No, but seriously, that's super interesting. I think like Lebanon is one of the few countries that has a much bigger population outside of the country than inside the country. I think, there's not. I mean, Armenia, I think probably for sure has more Armenians living abroad.
Lebanon.
I know, actually I love them in Lebanon. Yeah, I went to a really nice Armenian restaurant when I was there.
You've been to Lebanon?
Yeah.
Oh.
In 2018.
The best year before it all crashed down.
I know. They saw me and they were like, "We've peaked." No, it was super, super cool actually to visit. I mean, Beirut is amazing, and then we went to Baalbek, so ancient ruins, and we went to a vineyard, and we also on the way to we went to Baalbek and to the vineyard on the same day, and we also drove through Hezbollah controlled area, which was.
Did you see all the fields of weed?
Very jarring. No.
No? You're literally driving through fields of weed, and hashish, which is 100% illegal. If they catch you with anything, they send you to jail directly. Uh-huh. But you're driving through open fields of cannabis.
Oh, I knew there was a reason I like Lebanon.
Yeah.
Is that why you went there?
Yeah.
You picked up all of it and just crashed the economy? You just picked up all their stock?
Did you party?
Yeah.
I've heard Lebanese people party a lot.
Yeah,
this is something in that region.
Clubbing. Yeah, it was super fun.
Nice.
But yeah, I think there's not many countries like that where I guess Israel as well. I mean, that's a bit more complicated because a lot of Jews have never lived in Israel to begin with. Their ancestors from 2,000 years ago lived in that area, but. Yeah, there's not many countries like that where the diaspora is way bigger than the existing country. And I think that creates a very strong sense of identity because you you do, like it would be hard for you to identify with being British or whatever because you were in London. You were in London like different stints, and then you also went to like a French school.
Exactly.
So, I mean, for me, when people ask me where I'm from, I mean, I have a different background, but kind of similar in the sense that I've also lived in different places and also spent a lot of time in London. I always say like I'm from London, I'm from the UK, but my family's Russian because I've kind of, unlike you, I don't go back to Russia. I haven't been back since 2011. I don't really have family there, so I kind of feel like I've left that behind. Like I speak Russian at home with my family and like one or two friends, but that's about it. And I mean, I love the language. I love the culture. I think it's like really rich. It's a shame, you know, what's happening there. But I think with the UK, I kind of feel like there's a lot of. I mean, I don't sound British. There's a lot of things that I still find stupid after having been there for 15 years. But if I had to pick a culture which I understand and sort of represent better than any other, I think it would be
British.
It would be British. Just a sense of humor and sort of.
And you feel like sometimes you want to connect or know more about the Russian culture?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely aspects of Russian culture I'm missing out on, like not having moved away when I was 11, kind of missing the formative teenage years, and yeah, I mean, I've never worked in Russian. I've never like had a relationship in Russian. I think those things are like different usage of language, like kind of creates different experiences. But yeah,
No, I mean that's what's fascinating, right? Like both of y'all have come from, y'all have kind of lived in the UK. Like you've lived in the UK, you've lived in the UK.
yeah.
You've shed off this cultural identity, if I can say, of the Russian cultural identity, whereas you are embracing it and you're like so proud of it. And
Sorry.
No, I don't know. Like it's just I'm just fascinated, and I don't know where that difference comes from.
I mean, the difference is that it's cool to be Lebanese. I'm not sure.
No,
No.
I don't agree. I think the difference is more that maybe you have been completely I don't know what's the word, but kind of like you've lived the British life. No, you've lived everything about being British and living in the UK. I didn't really, like, I grew up, I left when I was 14, then I moved back at 18 at uni at Exeter. Like I was only hanging out with international people, mostly French speaking people. Then I went back at 27 with my sisters. So it's like different aspects. So I think like you were ingrained in it and you lived the whole experience, and maybe that's something that I also kind of like always think about. Like maybe I'm choosing to identify to like this culture of Lebanon because I want to have, I don't know if that makes sense. Like I want to be connected to some place. I want to feel like I am a whole person. I don't know if that makes sense.
No,
An individual that, connects to something. Because if I am not Lebanese, then I actually wouldn't know what I would be, because I never connected with, the UK, because I did, but like not in that sense, because I always moved. And I lived 2 years in Canada, but that's not enough. And then I lived 1 year in France, and that's not enough. And in Dubai, as amazing as it is, you can't really become a local. You can't really become an Emirati. That doesn't.
Isn't Dubai like 90% expats?
Exactly. It's like 82% expats.
Yeah,
so like you cannot, right?
You
So
cannot
like of all the places I've lived in, there's not one place where the only time I feel home is when I'm with my sisters, or when I'm with my parents, or when I'm surrounded by Lebanese people. Which, don't get me wrong, sometimes like most of the time I don't relate as much as I would want to, because I do have a very international upbringing. I do have a very international way of thinking and open mind and everything, which is completely different to some of my best friends in Lebanon. But at the same time, whenever I'm surrounded by people who, for example, can speak English, Arabic, French in just one sitting, this is where I feel the most myself, because I can just express myself in a way that other people won't understand,
No, I mean, that's, I was being a bit flippant. Like, what I mean by being Lebanese being cool is because it kind of already...
Oh, it is cool.
it kind of already encapsulates this, like, mixture of different, like, languages and cultures and religions. And you... Like, patriotism it's a bit loaded, right? Like, some patriotism can be good, like it's fun to, I don't know, root for your country in the Olympics, or as long as it's innocent, it's great. Or like if you're proud of your culture and you want to share it with other people. But of course, like an overspill of patriotism is
nationalism can be good.
Yeah, exactly. And with Russia, you can see it very clearly now, which is a very authoritarian, undemocratic, like brainwashed population, declaring war on other countries, like. this is like the dark side of patriotism. So I'm not ashamed of being Russian. Like I'm proud of it. But at the same time, if people like ask me this question, I will say I'm from Russia, or like I have Russian roots, because the name Pavel and everything, like it's not something I'm trying to like get away from. Although at some point I was actually going by Paul.
Really?
Yeah.
By
not
choice, or like people just...
No, it's like my parents specifically gave me and my siblings names that had like international sort of versions. My sister's called Ekaterina, which is like Catherine.
Okay.
And my younger brother's called Alexander. So wherever we move, like they were kind of already had this international outlook, and they were like, well, wherever you move, like you'll have your own version of your name. So in Germany, I was actually called Paul, which is the German version of. I mean, it's a biblical name, right? So like that's Pablo, Paulo, Paul. Here in Catalonia, it's like Paul, P-A-U. So in Germany, I was Paul, and then in England, I was Paul while I was still at school. And then when I came to uni, I was like literally, in the first week they made us wear name tags. And my name tag was taken from my application, which was taken from my passport, which is Pavel. So then I would come up to people and be like, hello, I'm Paul. And they'll be like, well, why does it say Pavel on your name tag? And I was like, well, I guess that's my name. And then at some point, like I realized that I actually liked Pavel and kind of reverted back to Pavel. Like it wasn't like I was hiding anything.
It was just your intended name was going to be Pavel.
Yeah.
But I think that's actually super, super interesting. I think it's like, I know I keep reverting back to Lebanon, but because this is what I know. But I think the whole point of, for me, this conversation is more about from anywhere you're from whatever you've experienced, you have this kind of, you can have this kind of like situation where you're like, oh well, this is my actual identity. Why am I trying to not hide it, but like why did I try to change it or to adapt it to wherever? It's like a lot of like Chinese people in my class that change their names, and I'm like, it's our job to be able to pronounce your name. It's not your job to adapt to us. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
That's my way of thinking. I don't know if that's
but so I get this. I mean, there is obviously this evolutionary pressure to have a social belonging to some group, right? We were never meant to be just individuals by just being by ourselves. We've always wanted to be part of a group, and it was for the survival, right? If you were not part of a group, you would literally just die. And now, so there is this new cultural identity, which the way you describe it and kind of you describe it, you fit in that category, being the global citizen.
Yeah.
But do you dismiss that idea that no, I'm Lebanese, I'm not a global citizen? Because when you said when you're sitting on a table with people who know Arabic, French, and can have kind of lived in the UK, had that international exposure. What you described is someone who's had an international exposure, someone who's like a global citizen. Would you then make being a global citizen a culture by itself? It's very novel. It's new. There's got no history, heritage to it, which is why it doesn't feel beautiful and lovely, because it's so new. But doesn't that become?
I don't differentiate both. I think I am both, 100%. And I think the global citizen is definitely a new culture for me. It's definitely a new group of community, because whenever you talk to people that have lived in different countries or had to adapt to different cultures, a different way of thinking, you also relate to them much more. You have the same open mind, you have the same kind of like conversations and so forth, right? Like, I don't know, I can give you the example of my cousin. She's half Spanish, half Lebanese, and she's freaking incredible, but there are some points where we would never agree on, because she comes from a very specific culture of like Spanish upraising, whatever, and I come from a much more open-minded. And then the same thing, like if I would have been born and raised in Lebanon only, I wouldn't have had
agree with yourself.
all the same mindset that I have today.
What does it mean to be an Arab?
I'm gonna switch that a bit, if that's okay. I think it's not about being like at the end of the day, I'm an Arab. If you ask some Lebanese, they'll tell you no, we're Phoenicians, because the problem with Lebanon is that some of the people in Lebanon will tell you like,
oh, that's what Nassim Taleb says.
Yeah, like we're different than any other Arab that you would meet or whatever. But or like we're a westernized country or like Arab country or whatever. But nowadays we're not. Nowadays we're again, let's not go into the politics of the corruption of everything. But I think with the situation today, and so I went to Lille this weekend to see my cousin, and my cousin is half Lebanese, half French, and she is married to an Israeli Jew. And they actually met when they were 17, and they got married at 38. So they lost touch for like up to like more than 10 years, 15 years. He actually got married. He had 3 kids with a Jewish woman from Israel, whatever. And then they got divorced, and then he reached out to her, and then they realized that actually, you know, and they have a child together. So we actually spoke a lot this weekend about, you know, this whole identity conversation, because she is now in the middle of being an Arab, but also, well, she has a daughter who is half Arab, half Jewish, you know, half Israeli. So I think that being an Arab is kind of like goes further than just being Lebanese or being from that region. It's like associating with the people that come from your culture, come from your traditions, come from your religion as well, because it's in that environment. It's also a lot to do with religion, and then what I do is I also add that aspect of being that global citizen, of understanding, you know, what are the differences or what are the good things or bad things of wherever I'm from.
Yeah.
And she was saying that what she struggled with a lot is that identity of, am I Arab or am I now Jewish? Because, you know, in the Jewish traditions, I don't know too much, but the woman is who holds more of the religion and the identity, let's say, of the
church.
Yeah,
it's matrilineal. So like, I mean, the men have the power, but for you to be Jewish, your mom has to be Jewish.
Mom has to be Jewish, exactly. So she went into all those like research and reading and conversations with everyone, with her dad, with her father-in-law, and whatever. And I found it so interesting because she at the end says, okay, well, I am both, because you associate a lot with the values of being Middle Eastern, and I think that's where there's a difference. Because at the end of the day, we are all from the Middle East. So we all have the same values, we all have the same traditions, we're all like Mediterranean, and we were raised the same way, especially in our generations nowadays. So for me, being an Arab is someone that can understand
the region.
Could just understand where I'm from, understand that we speak Arabic and it's just part of who we are. We sit down and we talk super loud and people think we're fighting, you know? We're eating so much that people think like, oh, you're wasting all the food, which we are, trust me, that's like another issue.
Also very loving.
We insult so much, but by the insults and by the little words, like the insults are your like loving words and the loving words are your insults. I don't know how to it's like, that's for me what means Arabic, because like literally the traditions, the education, the values.
You said Arab is family, and family is everything.
Arab is everyone. Like, it's just, for me, Arab is everyone. Well, like, you can go from any sect or whatever. And
I mean, language is really powerful, right? Just language. Like, you notice this at IESE, like, people after class, like, are just kind of in these groups. And I mean, everyone's super friendly and, like, integrated and stuff. But at the end of the day, like, once you've had a long day, all you want to do is you want to speak your native language. And I think having people around you, whether they're from like the same religion or like they could be from a completely different region, because Arabic is spoken so widely, but I'm guessing that like, I mean, maybe actually not so much for you specifically, because you said you had to kind of work to make your Arabic kind of as strong as your other two, but I'm sure for a lot of people that's like a great unifier.
But still, like when I see Elias, when I see Bassel, when I see Salim, like honestly, like we switch to Arabic and you can see that all of us just like, and me, it's I'm speaking Arabic, but I'm also putting in French and English because I know they will understand. Yes, Arabic is not extremely fluent for me, but I can communicate with them in the way that I will be understood.
It's a different part of your
brain. Elias, honestly, like just like it's like he's a completely different person. He's such a funny guy. Like, he's just himself when he can be talking the languages he wants to be. So 100%. And it's the same with Saad in second year, and it's the same with like
Saad's a great guy.
Saad's amazing. So it's the same with a lot of people. Like
shout out to Saad.
Shout out to Elias as well. Elias is so funny.
Rahat as well, who's Egyptian. Like you can see like we're just like all wanting to speak, like and just mix Arabic. Even Mo. Shout out to Mo. Even Mo, who will never tell you he associates with an Arab, will always speak to me in Arabic when he sees me. So.
Okay, before we segue into the next, can you say something in Arabic?
Ooh, what do you want me to say?
What I mean.
This podcast is brought to you by Toyota.
So yes, what have you brought us to show? And then you can introduce in Arabic.
Shit. Okay, so جبت صورة هيدي عائلة جبت صورة تبع عائلة because they mean anything. And honestly, that was very shitty Arabic, but it's fine. I brought a picture of my family. Yes.
Wow,
I'm
I speak
that
Arabic.
cheesy.
I understood that.
I understood that.
I'm very cheesy, and it's like this is my
That is
family.
beautiful.
So we're
That's
four
so cute.
sisters.
Show it to the camera.
Show it to the camera.
Sorry, 4 sisters, and my parents. And
That is cute.
this is actually the best picture that depicts us, because whenever we try to take a picture, all 6 of us together, you can see that we always, all the women go crazy, and my dad hates funny faces.
Yeah,
and
he's-
he will always go smiling, and then he will be like, why? Why can't we just take a nice picture?
And you're the only blonde, right?
And I'm the only blonde in the family. Blonde with blue eyes.
Yeah.
Blonde and blue eyes.
There's a joke that my mom would say, but I don't know if I want it to be on the
But that is
podcast, so
cute.
I won't say
Is
it.
it when she's trying to annoy your dad by any chance?
No, she starts to know me, being like, oh, the neighbor was Polish when I was
Is that why you have Polish spirits in the fridge?
That is
The
something.
first time we met my best friend at uni, the first day of uni, we were in the dorms. My best friend came out, and she was like, "Oh, you speak French? Where are you from? Whatever." And then my mom's like, "Oh, we're from Lebanon." And then the second question, well, after a conversation, right, she asked, "How come you're blonde and blue eyes, and your mom is like completely the opposite?" And my mom said, "I just met her that first day. I was trying to make friends." Huh? My mom said, "Oh yeah, my neighbor was Polish."
Okay, mom's a badass.
Oh, my
Mom's
mom
a
is incredible, but
So-
that's another podcast if you want.
That's a fun-
But yeah, my family. And then if you switch, these are my sisters. When we were children. And
Oh, that's cute.
they are, they're my
They're your
everything.
life?
They're everything for me.
And you're the
Everything.
third oldest.
I am not.
Who
You're the
are
second
I'm
you?
the second.
Who are you in this one? The one in the
blonde
middle?
one.
Yeah.
So this is Jennifer.
You look
She-
so Polish.
Right. I don't know if I can flip you on camera. This is Jennifer. Actually, maybe when we're a bit older, let me do this name.
This is
So this is Jennifer. She's 30. Then there's me. Then there's Taline, which is an
Your mom
Armenian
is
name.
also.
Oh.
Your mom is also like posing like you
Yeah.
guys. Your dad is the only one like, guys, can we just take a normal
I
picture?
swear, Every
Your
time,
dad's like,
every time I always take his phone. I take a selfie of me with a funny face, and then I post it as his wallpaper, and he gets so mad. And it's funny every time I do it. And
That
it's
is
been like
sweet,
29
that is
years, and I
so
still do it.
sweet.
And this is Sabrina, the youngest. And my parents, yes. And my parents have, I don't know if it's a beautiful is the right word. They met at 16. They got together at 18. And then they got married at 31. So for 13 years, it was like on and off for multiple reasons. And then they got married at 31, and then they had 4 kids.
So I still have hope, guys. I'm still 30. I have 1 year.
Man, stop complaining.
I've-
I'm in the same family situation as you.
Okay, how do I
But do
say?
you have a single bed though?
I do not. Yes,
Okay.
I have an advantage.
The last segment of the podcast is about life, and that is, what is the meaning of life for you?
God.
Easy one to stand.
Easy one.
Yeah.
Very easy. This is a
Very
very
easy,
simple,
that's
easy
the
question,
question.
guys. What is the meaning of
What is
life?
the meaning of life? I'm gonna say 4 words. Or 3. Let's see where some. Happiness.
Don't worry, we'll edit this out.
Will
Oh,
edit
4.
us. She did. I have like 4 words, and she did this.
4 words. Happiness, love, health, and success. I think that's the meaning of life for me. And success is definitely the last one. We don't give a fuck about success.
You don't give a fuck about success.
No. Happiness, health, love.
Happiness, health. Is that the order?
No. I've had this debate with my sister. No, I don't think so. I think health is super important.
Mm-hmm.
And then happiness and love just for me goes hand in hand. Like if you're happy without love, then you're happy. And if you have love without
You're
happiness,
happy.
then why would you, that's not good. You need both.
You,
So all
do
3.
need both.
Health, happiness, love. That's what you need.
And love is
In any order you want.
when you say love, you mean like family, friends, and relationships. Both.
Yes. Yes.
It's not like just
everything.
relationships.
Yes. I don't think God would want me.
She loves God, but God.
Too much baggage.
Too much baggage, too much overthinking, too much everything. Yeah, no. So, yeah.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I think it's a good recipe. I'll
Happiness,
subscribe to
happiness, love, health, and then success.
If you want success.
If you want. I mean, I think you can be successful in love. You can be successful
Yes.
in happiness. You
Very
can be
true.
successful in health. I mean, I'm not. I'm in all three of them, but I think that is a good recipe. No,
We're
but
getting there.
we're getting there.
We're getting
All
there.
right.
getting
That's
there.
the
All right, we all love you.
We're
That's
getting
what
there.
matters.
We're getting okay. So done.
You
One
have
done.
love in your life.
I'm done.
Even though you have
One
very
done.
bad taste in music, we still.
Okay, fine. Wait, okay, done. Love is done. I'm happy. I'm happy right now.
You have 2/3.
I'm very
of
happy.
love.
I'm very happy.
You're very happy.
You're
You have
pretty,
2/3
you're
of
pretty
love.
healthy.
I have
no?
2/3. Why 2/3? Why not full?
Family, friends.
Oh, okay. Thanks for reminding.